The idea of a U.S. state breaking away from the nation may sound like pure fiction, but history shows us it is not impossible. From political divisions to economic disputes, some states have experienced growing secessionist movements that continue to attract attention. But could any of them truly stand on their own? Today, on Globe Discoveries, we explore 10 states where secession is more than just a far-fetched theory. Some of these movements are rooted in historical precedents, while others are fueled by economic, cultural, or political differences. Could the United States, as we know it, change forever? Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our engaging content. Number 10. California. California, the Golden State, often feels like a nation within a nation. With the world's fifth largest economy, boasting a GDP exceeding $4 trillion in 2025, it holds both the financial power and political influence to stand independently. Supporters of the Calexit movement argue that California's progressive policies frequently clash with federal stances, particularly on issues such as immigration and climate change. Public opinion has fluctuated in recent years, but support for independence remains surprisingly strong. A 2024 survey by the Public Policy Institute of California revealed that 32% of respondents favored secession, compared to 25% a decade earlier. Advocates point to California's technological leadership and agricultural strength as foundations for independence. However, critics highlight serious vulnerabilities. California relies heavily on imported water, faces a persistent housing crisis, and continues to battle wildfires and climate-related challenges. Economists warn that secession could disrupt trade relationships and cut off federal funding for essential services. Moreover, California's complex relationship with federal agencies could complicate any attempt at separation. For now, California remains firmly part of the Union, but the conversation about independence is far from over. Number 9. Texas. Texas, the Lone Star State, has never fully abandoned its independent spirit. Once a republic from 1836 to 1845 before joining the Union, Texas has a unique history that fuels its secessionist sentiment. The idea of Texit has gained momentum in recent years, with some legislators proposing referendums to let voters decide. With a GDP of $2.5 trillion in 2025 and a robust energy sector leading the nation in oil and natural gas production, Texas has the economic muscle to consider independence. Many Texans feel disconnected from federal policies on gun rights, immigration, and land management. A University of Texas poll in early 2025 found that 35% of residents supported independence. Despite this, obstacles are significant. Texas receives billions annually in federal aid, particularly for disaster relief and healthcare. Entangling itself from U.S. military infrastructure would also present enormous challenges. Cultural pride and slogans like, "Don't mess with Texas," fuel the movement, but the practicality of secession remains heavily debated. Number 8. Hawaii. Hawaii, the island paradise in the Pacific, has long nurtured undercurrents of independence. The Hawaiian sovereignty movement has called for a return to native governance since the island's controversial annexation in 1898. In recent years, younger generations have given this cause renewed energy. Hawaii's geographic isolation makes independence seem plausible. Located more than 2,000 miles from the mainland, the state already feels distinct from the continental U.S. Its economy, driven by tourism, agriculture, and military contracts, provides substantial revenue. Legal disputes over land rights and historical grievances further fuel the push for sovereignty. A 2025 University of Hawaii survey showed that 28% of residents supported some form of self-governance, either through full independence or greater autonomy. Yet challenges remain steep. Hawaii relies heavily on imported goods, including food and fuel. Independence would also disrupt U.S. military strategy in the Pacific. Still, the cultural revival of native Hawaiian traditions has strengthened the movement, suggesting that calls for sovereignty may continue to grow louder in the years ahead. Number 7. Alaska. Alaska, known as the last frontier, has always felt set apart, geographically, culturally, and economically. The Alaska Independence Party, founded in 1984, has consistently advocated for a referendum on secession. Once dismissed as a fringe movement, it has recently regained interest. With vast reserves of oil, fisheries, and untapped mineral wealth, Alaska theoretically has the resources to sustain itself. In 2025, the state's GDP reached $80 billion, largely fueled by resource extraction. Its geographic isolation also plays a role. Anchorage is closer to Tokyo than to Washington, D.C., reinforcing feelings of detachment from federal decision-making. However, critics argue that Alaska's small population and harsh climate make self-sufficiency difficult. Federal funds support vital infrastructure, including the Alaska Permanent Fund and major defense installations. Given Alaska's strategic importance, independence would raise serious military concerns. Still, the spirit of independence remains deeply ingrained in Alaskan identity, ensuring that the dream of an Alaskan republic never fully fades. Number 6. Vermont. Vermont, small but politically distinct, has long flirted with the idea of secession. The Vermont Republic movement, inspired by the state's brief history as an independent republic from 1777 to 1791, argues that the federal government has grown too large and unresponsive. Economically, Vermont relies on small-scale agriculture and tourism. In 2025, its GDP reached $37 billion, with industries such as craft beer and organic farming gaining national recognition. Proponents claim that Vermont's close-knit, community-oriented culture could sustain independence, while its progressive politics often clash with federal policies on healthcare, the environment, and military spending. Yet independence would be logistically complicated. Vermont receives significant federal support for healthcare and infrastructure, and its landlocked location poses challenges for trade and security. A 2024 Castleton University poll revealed that 21% of residents supported secession. While Vermont remains firmly in the Union, conversations about independence continue in town halls and coffee shops alike. Number 5. Florida. Florida, the Sunshine State, may not seem an obvious candidate for secession, but its rapid growth and economic strength have fueled speculation. With a GDP surpassing $1.6 trillion in 2025 and a thriving tourism industry, some argue Florida has the resources to go it alone. Public opinion remains divided. Long-term residents often express frustration with federal taxation and immigration policies, while newer arrivals from northern states tend to favor unity. A 2025 Florida Atlantic University survey found that 26% of respondents supported independence. Florida's geography offers advantages, including major ports and a strategic position for trade with Latin America and the Caribbean. However, the state faces severe risks from hurricanes and relies heavily on federal disaster relief. Its large retiree population also depends on Social Security and Medicare. While the challenges are clear, debates over independence often resurface during election cycles, reflecting wider national divides. Number 4. Oregon. Oregon, known for its lush forests and progressive values, has occasionally entertained the idea of greater autonomy or even independence. With a population of over 4.2 million in 2023, Oregon ranks among the nation's more liberal states, often clashing with federal policies. Its economy, worth approximately $261 billion in 2023, is driven by real estate, manufacturing, and healthcare. Yet income inequality remains a pressing issue, with 30% of households in cities like Portland struggling with high housing costs. Politically, Oregon operates under a democratic trifecta, though rural areas frequently conflict with urban centers over environmental regulations, gun rights, and other issues. Crime rates, particularly in Portland, also complicate the picture. Despite these challenges, Oregon's progressive culture and economic strengths make the idea of independence a recurring topic of debate. Number 3. New Hampshire. New Hampshire, with its famous motto, "Live free or die," has always embraced small government and individual liberty. Groups like the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance have long proposed measures for secession, citing federal overreach as their main concern. The state's economy, which reached $96 billion in 2025, benefits from a strong manufacturing sector and low unemployment. Advocates argue New Hampshire could survive independently, especially with its proximity to Canada. A 2024 University of New Hampshire poll showed that 29% of residents supported exploring independence. However, the state still relies on federal funding for healthcare and education, and its small population raises concerns about long-term viability. With its strong libertarian streak, New Hampshire's independence debate is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. Number 2, Colorado. Colorado has recently emerged as a surprising addition to secession debates due to its rapidly shifting political and economic landscape. Known for its booming tech industry, outdoor recreation, and legal cannabis market, Colorado's GDP surpassed $460 billion in 2025. Secessionist sentiment often comes from rural counties that feel overshadowed by urban centers like Denver and Boulder. In 2024, several northern counties even pushed for a North Colorado movement, citing a lack of representation in state and federal policies. Economically, Colorado could sustain itself through tourism, renewable energy, and its cannabis industry. Yet challenges remain. Loss of federal support for infrastructure, national parks, and military installations would be significant. A 2025 poll revealed that only 24% of Coloradans supported independence, showing that while the debate exists, support is relatively low. Number 1, New York. New York, the Empire State, might seem like an unlikely candidate for secession, but the idea has gained attention in recent years. Advocates point to its massive economic power, with a GDP of $2.1 trillion in 2025, and its global influence through Wall Street. Much of the movement centers on dividing New York City from upstate regions. Supporters argue the city dominates politics and resources, leaving rural communities underrepresented. A 2025 Siena College poll showed that 30% of upstate residents supported exploring such a split. While New York City could likely thrive as an independent hub of finance and tourism, upstate regions argue separation would allow more control over tax revenues and policies. Still, the legal, financial, and logistical challenges would be immense, particularly regarding federal aid and trade agreements. The United States has long prided itself on unity, but growing political, economic, and cultural divides raise questions about the future. Could any of these states truly break away? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more captivating stories from Globe Trips.